Good afternoon and welcome to NYCryptoTalk. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit differently, and I'm going to be talking about portfolios and risk management for cryptocurrency. Just to preface, I am not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. I am just some guy talking about cryptocurrency on YouTube. So I just wanted to show you guys what a portfolio type that you might see on traditional investments. This is Investopedia. This is a good resource for anybody who's looking at investments and want to get some basic information about investments or stocks, funds, or anything along those lines. So they have 5 popular portfolio types. I'm going to be just talking about 3. But there is an aggressive portfolio, which includes stocks, high risk, high reward proposition. There's a defensive portfolio, which is usually isolated from broad market and its cyclical stocks and includes things along the lines of companies that build essentials for everyday life. Then there's the income portfolio, which is basically looking into real estate investment trusts and master limited partnerships. So these are being able to generate almost like a dividend model. There's a speculative portfolio, which is basically IPOs. So in the crypto world, that might be ICOs. There, because you're not knowing as much information about it, it's not an existing platform. There's a hybrid portfolio, which is basically combining blue chip stocks as well as high grade government or corporate bonds and a combination of other things. And then they just talk about what the bottom line is on investing. So there's different takes on it, and obviously I'm just going to be talking about high, low, medium risk portfolios and how you can kind of look at the different projects and kind of lump them into them depending on what type of investor you are and where you see the market going. So here I wrote down the different types of portfolios that I am going to be discussing today. The first is high risk, which I would consider something that is a high reward potential. So these are what everybody you see on Twitter or Instagram or any other social media, Facebook, YouTube, claiming to have 20x, 100x gains. So most of the time these are low market cap coins or coins that have just been released post ICO on a decentralized exchange such as IDEX or some other small exchanges more towards the Western world. And these are also Western projects that might not be as prominent here in the Eastern world, and because of lack of information in the English language, they are not as highly sought after as projects where there's English translations across all the platforms. So these are what I would consider high risk items. I would also lump in ICOs here. Depending on the ICO you're looking at, they could be a high risk, medium risk, but obviously you're putting your money at risk for those things. But there could be a huge potential in reward, because if you look at any ICOs and how much potential in growth they've had post ICO, you will see 20x, 50x, 100x on a lot of these projects, because sometimes the cost initially is very, very low, and once it comes to market is very, very high. So there's medium risk, and this could be a combination of both the high risk and low risk projects, so a combination of the items I just discussed and what I will discuss. And then there's also steady growth projects that are slowly accumulating. They're established platforms with a long roadmap, so they have a steady influx of technology coming in. They're not planning on just creating a project and then jumping out of a project right away. So these are steady growth projects, but they still might have risk, because obviously depending on what the technology is, there might not be a long-term need for it. There might be. And then you're willing to take minimal risk with new technology. So projects that have new technology and are in the blockchain sphere might be a medium risk, because you don't know how it's going to work. They're not platform based, they're new technology. So those are what I would consider a medium risk. And then there's low risk, which is long-term holds, things that are projects that you truly believe in. And I won't go into what all the low risk projects are, because it really depends on you. If you believe in the technology, you believe in the crypto tech, as I say, and it's good technology, which is the future. This is what I always reiterate. As long as it's technology and you think it's going to last long term, then I think it's a low risk item. Even if there might be huge potential gains, there's a lower risk for it to fail in the future. High quality teams and partnerships always help when it comes to low risk projects. So when they're collaborating with major corporations, obviously that is a huge plus when it comes to a project. So obviously anything that you're holding long term, these might be stable coins, these might be projects that might have some influx and changes in price. They might be a little bit of volatility, but all of crypto is volatile at times, because if something happens in the market, it might affect everything. So I'm not even taking that into account when it comes to risk, because if the whole market moves, everything's going to move. So that's really not in the equation for myself. So thinking about high risk, as I mentioned, things with the decentralized exchange like IDEX and other decentralized exchanges like Ether Delta, Fork Delta, you can find a lot of projects there, as well as Gate.io or the smaller Bbox. Some of these sites have some really nice hidden gems. I've done reviews on some of these in the past. Some of these I will be doing reviews on in the future. But these are just items that I feel are very undervalued. And obviously they're much higher risk because some of them don't have English documentation. As an example is CP Chain, which I did a review on, and most of the articles are in Chinese, but they do have good IoT technology. It is a low market cap coin that has a huge risk, but as well as a high reward potential because of the project and technology. There's TE Food, which definitely has a lot of things going for it right now. There's INT Chain, which is still kind of undervalued in my personal opinion. It is an Asian IOTA basically, and it has gone through some grief in the past couple of months, but obviously there's a lot of tech behind it, partnerships behind it. There's U-Network, which I will be doing a review on. One of my subscribers mentioned it to me, and I definitely want to check it out because it does seem to be a very, very undervalued, especially in the price potential for having a much higher risk, but also the high reward. Then there's Pundi X, which has the point of service technology. They're rolling out like 20,000 units, I believe, in the next month. So they have a lot of things going on, and they still are very undervalued. And then decentralized exchanges, depending on what project it is. I think Switch.io is between a high risk and a medium risk. I just put it here because I think it's still very undervalued. And then there's projects like Tomo Chain that are also very undervalued at this time. So these are my own personal opinions. There are still a lot of other high-risk items out there and high-reward items. So definitely there are a lot more gems out there. I haven't been digging as much recently. I plan on doing it more, but some of these are just some good projects that, could have huge potentials in the next year for 20x to 50x gains and possibly more. Some of these don't have as much information on it, or at least the community behind them are not as large as some of these other companies out there right now. Looking at medium risk, these are projects that I think are either very hyped up right now or they have a lot of technology, and I would put myself into a medium risk kind of person. I do love medium risk stuff because I think they're undervalued. There's huge potential with 800 plus billion market cap that we saw in the past. I do believe that we can get to 2 trillion in market cap at some point in time. So I do believe that a lot of these are going to reach their all-time highs plus a lot more. So, you have projects like EOS, Substratum, High Performance Blockchain, Wan Chain, Icon, Zilliqa, 0x, which is a decentralized exchange, Walton Chain, Ontology, Matrix, and then I put Neo/Gas here just because I think even though Neo is one of my low risk items, I think Gas is also a medium risk because there's speculation on whether Gas is going to be one of those things that can go through the roof. It might actually overtake Neo at some point because of the way it works and how it's utilized on the platform. So I put the Gas portion here as well. But I think all these projects, I am a big supporter of a lot of them. I don't have a lot of them as well. So these are just, they're out there that let you guys know that I don't own these. I'm not trying to shill any of these projects. I'm only involved maybe in a quarter of these or a third of them. So, or I would like to be involved in all of them if I had more money. But these are all projects that I believe have a lot of potential when it comes to technology. But obviously it really depends on, all these FUD going on, FOMO going on. These are speculative projects, obviously, and a lot of these things don't have the technology out. Some of these things don't have the full platforms. EOS, Substratum hasn't released their actual product. OneChain is still waiting to go on their ICO. So there's a lot of things here that don't have the full delivery yet. We're only hearing things or seeing certain parts of the project. High Performance Blockchain has the actual sharding hardware built, but we haven't been delivered it yet, or they're on their testnet right now. So there's a lot of different pieces in the puzzle here when I consider medium risk. So these are projects that I feel long term will definitely do good, but they'll have a much better reward than some of the low risk items that will probably be around forever, or as long as crypto will be around. So these are the ones that are, 80% will most likely be around for a long time, but they have a much higher rewards ratio than some of the low risk items that have been around much longer but have a lot more supporters behind them. And then my low risk items, which I feel are things that I would personally never have to worry about, because I think no matter what, there's going to be mainstream adoption for them. You have the main 4 items that, of course, most people are familiar with and definitely are aware of. I think Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Neo are projects that will never go away. They're going to be around, whether they change in certain ways, shapes, or form, that might be. But as far as the actual project itself, I do think Litecoin will definitely have mainstream adoption at some point with some vendors down the line. Ethereum is the basis of all ERC20 platforms. Bitcoin is the mother of everything. And then Neo, I believe, is technically the best performance and project around in the whole crypto market. So I do believe that they will be around for a very long time. And then I did put in 2 other projects here, things that I've talked about in the past, but I do think that they are very low risk because I do really foresee them being around very long term. They might not have the crazy potential growth factors that the medium risk have, but I do feel that they have an adoption rate that will exponentially grow over the next couple of years. First is Dragon Chain, which I do feel has an amazing platform. ICO is being rolled out, and I think with their United States basis, and eventually I think they will be the first SEC approved project. And then there's Sophia TX, which I believe is still very undervalued at this point, but the technology behind it, I'm a big fan of the integration from blockchain to the SAP ERP platforms, and I do believe that this type of project will be around for a very long time. So I do believe it is a low risk item right now with the evaluation that it's at and the partnerships and the news that it's in. I do believe that it is a long-term project with a low risk. So looking at the different types of portfolios and how you can diversify, obviously this is all up to you. Some people like to live life on the edge, and they will put a lot of money into high risk items and medium risk items and just leave a little bit in reserve in the low risk area. Obviously there's the midway point of almost a breakdown of a 30-30-30. And then you see some people who might want to actually do long-term projects. They're, believers in crypto, and they want to keep most of their money safe. So they put, 10% high risk, 40% medium risk, and 50% low risk. So putting your money almost in a savings style bond, and you're putting it away for long term. Or there's the people who want to get short-term gains while still maintaining some of the long term. So just some helpful advice that I think, and of course most people know about this, but never sell at a loss. If you have projects, and I personally, myself, I'm included, I've been wanting to diversify. If you have not followed me on Twitter, I want to diversify very much, but I do have projects that are at big losses because, they were doing good in December and they took that huge hit back in January and then February again. So I am at a loss on a few of my projects that I want to cut loose, just because I can see myself wanting other projects or diversifying back into my existing projects. So don't sell at losses because you're losing out. That's the only time you're actually losing money, is when you sell. And then don't FOMO. If you see the prices rising, obviously yesterday we saw a huge increase in the market cap. People were jumping into things, and then of course we went back down $40 billion today. So never, feel the need to fear of missing out on an opportunity. And then of course do your own research. Always, always, always do your own research. I might do a review on a project, but don't take my word on it. Don't take another YouTuber's word on it. Do not take words on crypto people on YouTube, Twitter especially, because people on Twitter are just out there, looking to get their projects known. Do your own research, read the white paper, look at the team, see what the technology is, what their competitors are, what they're doing for the crypto space, what they're doing for the just technology in general. Are they going to make an impact? And do your own due diligence. Where do you feel they fall into high risk, medium risk, and low risk? And where do you can see yourself safely saving money? You don't want to put all your money into these types of projects. So, always figure out what money you have and what you can have as a reserve. So just be safe out there. I hope you guys like this. Obviously, I did not mention every project. There's way too many projects out there. I just kind of put out a lot of the things that I think are very hot in the market right now, and things that my followers are listening to, things that my followers are mentioning to me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification to get notified of new videos. Please leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you. Let me know what you think of high risk, low risk, medium risk projects. And I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you again for watching. Peace.